Well, of course, it's been a week since Her Majesty passed away, and since that moment, the royal family has pretty much been under intense scrutiny. Crowds and cameras following their every movement. No one more so than the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. Every look, every hair flick, every curtsy is being dissected and analysed.
Joining us for more on this is Jack Royston, Chief Royal Correspondent for Newsweek in London. Jack, thank you for your time. The Palace in news this morning will now allow Harry to wear his military uniform during an upcoming vigil. What's the decision behind this? What would have gone on behind closed doors here?
Well, I think there must be basically a recognition that this was starting to make the palace look a bit silly and potentially to do some reputational harm to the monarchy right at a time when Charles has seen a huge 30% swing in his favour. You know, everybody does know Prince Harry served in the military. He's a veteran. He was on the front line in Afghanistan twice. You've got other members of the royal family alongside him who not only don't have that military service, but, you know, Edward dropped out of training for the Royal Marines before completing it. He's allowed to wear his military uniform. I think it was getting to the stage for the palace where they did have to do something, or they would just wind up looking a little bit silly when the attention by rights should really be on the Queen.
And all the work that Harry's done, not only behind the scenes, but with the Invictus Games for veterans. Do you think, let's move on to Harry and Meghan now. The reaction to the British media, just by them being there, has been incredible. Do you think they're being villainised?
With Harry and Meghan, sometimes the coverage can become quite relentlessly negative. You know, nobody has to like a member of the royal family who they don't naturally warm to. But I do think people need to be shown both sides of the argument and both sides of the story so that they can orientate themselves and work out which side they want to fall on. With Harry and Meghan, sometimes there are meaty, weighty, legitimate debates about things that have happened, and at other times they get picked up on stuff that's really trivial. And I think sometimes actually the public can see through some of those stories. We've had that just this week with this business about them holding hands at the vigil, and people were getting very exercised about that. Now, obviously, it's a time of mourning. Harry is going to be incredibly emotionally affected by everything that's happened, not only because of his relationship with the Queen, but also because of the echoes of Diana.
It's very confusing, I think, for a lot of people, because people, as you say, kind of do want to take a side here, but it's a lot more nuanced than that, isn't it? There are reports that Harry and Meghan are furious that their children Archie and Lilibet won't get HRH titles. Is that unfair? What is the general protocol around that?
So my understanding is that actually it's not quite as it's been reported on that issue, that this actually hasn't been discussed, and that there is a recognition basically that this moment here is about the Queen. Now, with Prince William and Kate Middleton, their Prince and Princess of Wales titles were announced on Friday last week by Charles. But there was also a kind of real reason for doing that in that moment, which is that, you know, they are playing a really big high-profile role within all of these vigils and at the funeral, and it was about Charles including them. Archie and Lilibet, there's no need to make that decision now. And my information, you know, that story was in The Sun. My information is slightly different to theirs. And my understanding is that actually no decision has been made on this yet. My suspicion is that they will be Prince and Princess, that they will probably have, in the final analysis, HRH titles, but they will lie in abeyance and not be used, which is the situation that exists for Harry and Meghan themselves.
We're just looking at footage here of the, formerly known as Fab Four group outside Windsor Castle when they did that walkabout with the public. And Meghan in particular was under intense scrutiny that day. She was criticised for the way she touched her hair, for the way she held Harry's hand, for the way Harry even sort of escorted her into the car. And there was one particular moment with an aide here where the aide comes up and asks, "Can I put the flowers down for you?" And she says, "No, I told this person that I would do it for them myself." She was called a passive-aggressive diva across many media outlets because of that. And then on the flip side, you've got Charles, which, was a funny moment with the pen, right, sort of saying, "No, it's not working. Where are the right pens?" And everyone's upset and tetchy about it. But there seemed to be a lot of sympathy for him over that moment and the way he, sort of was a bit short about that. Do you see, look how frustrated he is there. Do you see a dichotomy? Do you see a real difference in the way the two are treated?
I do think that there's definitely this band of people on social media who will jump on Meghan instantly, and they are kind of always a coiled spring ready to pounce, which means that they can sometimes also lead the narrative a little bit. And also, like there is this issue that negative stories do tend to kind of fly off the shelf much more easily than positive ones. I think with Meghan and her interaction with that aide, it was so fleeting, and the whole thing was such a pressured moment. It is very similar to the situation with Prince Charles, and with Prince Charles, King Charles rather, you got to forgive him. I mean, he's mourning the death of his mother. He got frustrated with a pen. We've all been there. I think all of these people are humans at the heart of it, and they're going through a really, really difficult time.
I think you can't deny that Harry and Meghan in some ways have generated a lot of the negative commentary around them with their own, let's say cringeworthy statements at times. But whether or not the criticism they receive is proportionate to what they've done, I think is a really interesting sort of topic to look at.
Jack Royston from Newsweek, we appreciate your insight on this as well, because we know we'll be talking about this as well more over the weekend. Thank you, Jack, on this. And you're right. I mean, it's so strange. And yet, we're told that, she's one of the most hated women in London. But yet, they went out there as the Fab Four. I didn't see any hate except for that one rude woman who decided to make a stand and be silly.
I can't help but think that would have been a really threatening environment for Harry and Meghan as well, or at least daunting, having been out of the public eye in London for a couple of years and not knowing what kind of reception they were going to receive.
Welcome back. It is News Time now with Lizzie.
Good morning to you both. Thousands of people are still lining up to say goodbye to Her Majesty and view the coffin in Westminster Hall. While the palace has confirmed King Charles and his siblings will stand guard over their mother's coffin one last time in a silent 15-minute vigil tomorrow. Christina Hearn was amongst the crowds in London.
Well, the queue to see the Queen's coffin lying in state in Westminster Hall is larger than yesterday. It is now stretching some 8 kilometres. So everybody now has about an 8.5-hour wait at least before they reach Westminster Hall. But everyone I've spoken to tonight says they don't mind at all because they want this opportunity. I'm now joined by someone in the line.
How do you do? Hello.
Now, just how long have you been waiting?
We started at quarter to 8, so not too long. The queue's moving pretty quickly, so yes.
So about 3 hours so far?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we've probably got 4 or 5 more to go.
And why have you decided to wait so long for this opportunity?
Because we adored our Queen. We loved her very much, and we miss her so much.
And what has been the feeling like in the queue, in the line?
Very congenial, very friendly, very relaxed. There's no stress at all. And London can be quite a busy city, whereas this is just very respectful and a great atmosphere.
It's extraordinary scenes, isn't it, to see this amount of people queuing in central London?
I know. I was just saying to my other half, Colin, that we don't see this many people. It's normally New Year's Eve, but it's infinitely more than New Year's Eve. It's phenomenal. So yes.
Well, we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for joining us.
Please send my love to Australia. I love Australia.
Thank you so much.
Lovely to meet you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Now, as I said, everybody has been in great spirits and very well behaved in the queue. But earlier, we did see a bit of a scuffle break out in this line. I have to tell you, those security were very quick to pounce on it. And that is the only trouble that I have seen so far in this very long queue to Westminster Hall. Earlier today, we did see former UK Prime Minister Theresa May. She was one of those that paid her respects, but she, like other politicians, don't have to queue up. She is allowed in a side entrance. And confirmation from Buckingham Palace today that the Queen's children, led by King Charles, will stand guard around the Queen's coffin for a 15-minute vigil tomorrow night.
G'day, it's Ali.
And Carl.
Thanks for watching the Today YouTube channel.
Subscribe now for brand new videos every day and exclusive bonus clips.
Ali, say please.
Please? Why?
Please? I don't know.